knowledge on how the management of these assets may generate great competitiveness and great economic development of companies, cities, regions, and countries. I would like to give a special thanks to the organizations and people that helped us. To Microsoft Portugal, especially to Dr. Vânia Neto and Dr. Dália Turner, that believed in this project and opened us the doors of Microsoft, allowing us to have access to the best technology for conferencing broadcast. To PME Consult, which handled all the logistics of the conference. To AllWeb for PME, which prepared the image and website of the conference and gave us technological support. To FCT, which funded this conference. To Açoriana Seguros, which sponsored this conference. To the keynote speakers that believe in the ICA project and agreed to participate in the conference. Thank you. To the ICA staff, composed of ICA friends that volunteer to be here today helping us. To all of you that here today, and also to the 97 participants that registered via broadcast and that represent 17 countries. All of these make us believe that ICA has already gone really far and that this conference will be another important step in the national and international recognition of ICA. Thank you all. Obrigada a todos. Now I give the floor to Dr. Dália Turner, Human Resources Director of Microsoft Portugal, our host in this conference.
Thank you very much. And to everyone, welcome to Microsoft, and to those of you online, welcome to the conference. Intellectual capital is incredibly important to corporations. I'm the Human Resources Director here at Microsoft, and although we do not use the words intellectual capital, we are talking about it every day. HR is responsible for ensuring we retain our employees, we ensure that they are engaged, and to put into place practices for them to be able to collaborate. And all of those things are all about ensuring that we are making the most of our intellectual capital. When someone leaves the company, when someone changes jobs, they are taking the knowledge about the work that they do, they're taking the knowledge about how to do the work, they're taking the knowledge about the relationships needed in the work with them when they leave. And I will tell you as a personal example, I moved from Singapore to Portugal a year ago, and they are still reaching out to me to this day. I got an email this morning about some of the things that I looked after there. So it's not just about leaving the company, it happens every time an employee leaves. When a company says that their people are their best assets, they're not talking about the individuals. They're talking about the knowledge that those individuals have. Because although we like to think that we are irreplaceable, we are not. You can replace an individual, but the information and the knowledge that they have is super important. So I and Microsoft are very happy that work like this is taking place, and we hope that you have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Dália. Thank you, Dália. Continuing with our conference, I present Dr. Miguel Barbosa. He is a board member of Portuguese National Innovation Agency, and I would like if he can present a little what is the work of our National Innovation Agency. You can speak in English, or if you prefer. We are English people in the conference, but we are in Portuguese contest. You can choose.
I will commute. Bom dia a todos. Aos que estão presentes, muito obrigado pelo vosso tempo, desde já. Muito obrigado ao ICA pelo simpático convite. And Warm welcome to everyone joining us on a remote, from a remote place. I will present you challenges and opportunities in Portugal regarding knowledge and innovation. That was a challenge. I twisted it a little bit, and we will speak of knowledge and collaborative innovation, challenges and opportunities in Portugal, because today we don't, at the National Innovation Agency, we don't believe that anymore that innovation can happen standalone. Innovation is a collaborative process. It might not be as such through the whole process, but at a given point in time in the innovation value chain, we will have to collaborate with suppliers, with customers, with partners, and so we prefer to speak in terms of collaborative innovation in Portugal. So the agenda for today would be a small forward about the Portuguese National Innovation Agency, ANI, and its relation to knowledge and collaborative innovation. Portugal today, where are we in this landscape? Challenges towards 2020 and opportunities towards 2020, which is, at least for European, an important milestone regarding the structural funds and the European funds programs. Which one should I follow?
Está a corrigir, é este que está a controlar.
So, as an opening word, I would like to share with you that knowledge and collaborative innovation are at the heart of the National Innovation Agency mission. Our role is to bring together university and industry in collaboration and in qualifying that collaboration, and in technology transfer, research results, knowledge commercialization, and innovation. And we try to do that with a creating integrative approach to the technology and knowledge transfer process. For us, the equation is very simple. You have academia, universities, research centers, and you have industries. You need to help them to collaborate, and this equation equals innovation and economic impact and economic growth. How do we try to do that? A few highlights of our portfolio. We manage incentive systems, financial incentive systems, tax incentive systems to research and innovation in corporations. We try to foster the internationalization of the Portuguese research and innovation system. We try to support their participation in international programs and networks. We have a special group dedicated to helping Portuguese companies and research institutions to participate in the Horizon 2020 research program and innovation program. We have a team that tries to mobilize Portuguese industry to the aerospace and aerospatial international industries and organizations. The key focus is the European Space Agency, and also Eurostars, which is a collaborative research program for SMEs, also funded by the European Union. And we try to create and support the companies with innovation support services that allow them to better use the incentives we were speaking 2 slides ago. We have services to foster innovation and entrepreneurship, either supporting companies, SMEs, applying to the SME instruments in the Horizon 2020, or the Bolsa de Tecnologia e Negócios, which is an online platform, European online platform that helps companies, research institutions coming together, presenting their technologies, searching for partners, doing consortiums for European projects, technology transfer and licensing, all that stuff. Our role at the National Innovation Agency is to have companies registering, to have university and research centers, TTOs, registering and presenting their opportunities there. And as a fourth pillar in our portfolio is innovation policy. We have a clear mandate from the government to do the benchmarking of the Portuguese research and innovation system, to do public policy proposals to the government, and to manage strange word for many of you probably, which is called ENEI. ENEI é a Estratégia Nacional para uma Especialização, Estratégia Nacional de Investigação e Inovação para uma Especialização Inteligente. It's the strategy for smart innovation and research strategy. It was a mandatory strategy that the European Commission asked member states to develop in order to apply the structural funds in the cycle 2014-2020. Every country has to say which are the key areas, the key sectors where it will invest the European structural funds money, namely in R&D, in innovation. So Portugal today, where are we in these indicators? And I must say Portugal is a success story in these last years. If you look at one of the most recent World Economic Forum's Global Competitiveness Report, Portugal gave a giant step up the ladder. We climbed from 51st to 36th out of 144 economies, and the pillars of the study that were pushing Portugal up were precisely innovation, technology, and higher education. We were first in annual growth rate in innovation performance. We are in the top 20 in terms of availability of latest technologies in companies and in SMEs, foreign direct investment and technology transfer, and we are in the top 25 in terms of firm collaborative innovation with other firms and with research institutions. And we are more innovative because our skills make the difference. 61% of the Portuguese population speaks at least one foreign language. English is mandatory since elementary school, and our math performance is above OECD average according to the PISA 2012 study. And we have quality and availability of research and innovation staff. We have the fourth highest percentage of students enrolled in science and engineering university studies in the EU28. We are in the top 10 in terms of research and development and innovation staff availability and quality in the Global Competitiveness Report, and we are fourth in terms of the quality of our management schools. And albeit we have a strong weakness in terms of PhDs working in industry, we learned that our younger PhDs are increasingly industry oriented. If you look at the chart, you see that only 4% of the Portuguese PhDs work in companies. This compares very badly with other European countries. It's something we really must focus and work on. But however, this percentage doubled in the last couple of years due to the economic adjustment and scarcity of public funds for R&D in research institutions. And if you look to the PhDs younger than 44 years old, you see that 16% of them already are working in companies. So younger PhDs are getting increasingly industry-oriented in Portugal. And we are more innovative because we collaborate more. If you look at the funded projects in the two previous European structural funds programs, you see that the number of collaborative projects multiplied by the number of projects was multiplied by 4. The number of companies enrolling in collaborative R&D and innovation with academia multiplied by 4, and the funding amount of the projects multiplied by 5. This is a huge increase. The GFIC, which is the program between 2000 and 2007, breaks the myth of university-industry collaboration, and GRAN, the program between 2007 and 2013, democratized it, brought us the big numbers. So the challenge for the Portugal 2020 program, which started last year and goes up to 2020 must bring us the qualification of the collaboration between industry and academia. And we have a booming entrepreneurial landscape. We are third in the Fundacity's acceleration ranking in 2014, which measures the number of startups accelerated in the country. We have 3 Portuguese accelerators in the top 20 accelerator programs of the study, and 16 of the startups applying for public venture capital in Portugal have PhD founders. 16% of the startups applying for public venture capital in Portugal have a PhD in the team of founders. And better said, it's not booming, it's burgeoning. It's a burgeoning entrepreneurial landscape. Portugal just won the organization of the Web Summit for the next 3 years, which is a huge achievement for the country. It's this environment, this landscape, that helped the country to affirm itself internationally, and the organization of the Web Summit will put Portugal in the global map of innovation and entrepreneurship. Definitely, we hope so. This is something that we must all be very proud of and must focus in terms of extracting the best of it for every organization. This is all very interesting, but as a marketing professor once told me, okay, but show me the money. Where is the money in all that you are doing? And if you look at the technological trade balance of last year in Portugal, we were able to invert an historical imbalance. The value of the trade balance multiplied by almost 4 between 2008 and 2014, and the share of research and innovation service exports grew by almost 8 times in this period. In the last 3 years, we were able to accumulate a positive balance of nearly 700 million euros. It's not a fortune, but it's a first step, and let's see if we keep up with the good news and the positive trends. So what are the challenges towards 2020? We had the structural funds program that was active in Portugal between 2007 and 2013, which was called CREN. It was an initial attempt to have an integrated approach to the research and innovation cycle, to cover the cycle with appropriate funding instruments. And it was quite successful, especially in terms of collaborative research and innovation. It has sound economic impact. More than half of the projects has results, new products and services, and if you're acquainted with R&D activities, more than 50% of success is quite an interesting percentage when you, from an R&D project, come out with new products and services in more than half of the projects, 60% of which are in launch or commercialization phase already, and 80% of which are oriented to the global markets. But still, there are loopholes, there are things to improve. And we would say, at the National Innovation Agency, we were looking at the results, at the instruments of CREN. We have lots of focus groups with companies, universities, other organizations, and we came up with this matrix of opportunities to improve. We must have a research system that is better integrated and has instruments that are better integrated, financial incentives better integrated with tax incentives, national incentives better integrated with international incentives. The companies must make a better use of these incentives, integrate them better into the funding mix of their research and innovation efforts. We must have more markets. We must be closer to the market. We saw that the instruments we had lacked a last mile to the market. We must have projects as pilot lines, demonstrator projects being supported. We must be more open. We must have a higher openness, especially to the European research system. Portuguese companies and Portuguese research institutions must participate more in the European platforms in the European funding programs, in the European Space Agency, in order to network with the best and try to conquer international markets. We must have more and better research staff. We must have, mainly in companies, we must support companies to hire PhDs. We must train PhDs to know how to sell their knowledge to companies, and we must help companies in preparing to hire PhDs and to integrate them in their teams, which is not simple because it's two very different mindsets. We must have more partnerships between companies and research and not opportunistic projects. We must have longer-term strategic partnerships that allow companies and research institutions to do road mapping, to have horizontal activities, like we always speak of having researchers coming to companies, but we rarely speak of having persons from companies going into the university to teach in practical programs, to teach in postgraduate programs. And the types of partnerships we tried, of partnership support we tried to draft in the new structural funds program will support this type of activities. And we must have a system, a support system that is more simple, more easy to access, where the rules are not hidden and a company easily knows how to access funds, easily knows how to structure an application. So what are the opportunities towards 2020? The biggest opportunity we would say in terms of public policy is the restructuring and launching of the National Innovation Agency, which has this integrative approach to the cycle. We manage incentives, and we try to create innovation support services to help companies make a better use of the incentives to research and innovation. A clear opportunity for Portuguese companies is the Portugal 2020 program, which has a huge priority to research and innovation, more than 6 billion euros to be applied in enhancing the competitiveness and internationalization of Portuguese companies. Almost 35% of this amount is to strengthen research and innovation capacities in companies. And we have an enhanced sophistication of the program. We made a huge effort to qualify industry-academia collaboration and to enhance the covering of the value chain. So we have new instruments that we hope will fulfill this mission. We support demonstrator projects in companies where you can demonstrate technologies in real industrial scenarios. We support PhD recruiting by companies. We support companies' participation in international programs and platforms. We support the valorization of European projects results in Portugal by Portuguese companies. And it doesn't need to be a project where a Portuguese company participated. It only needs to be a result that the Portuguese company knows that exists, is not being explored, and it can apply for funding to explore it in Portugal. And longer-term industry research and innovation partnerships. It's what the instrument in Portuguese is called Núcleos de ID em Copromoção. And the instrument is tailored to support the horizontal activities between companies and research institutions longer term. A special word for large companies. This instrument must have an SME as the leading partner of the consortium, and the SME must have an important role in the núcleo. The CFID, the Portuguese tax incentive systems for research and development in companies. It's a highly competitive system. It has supported almost 2,000 companies since its inception. It has awarded 1.3 billion in tax credits between 97 and 2013. It has a bonus cost for PhD staff costs in companies of 130%, which means by each 100 euros you pay a PhD to work in a project as your employee, you get a tax credit of 120 euros of the cost, of that cost. And it has supported costs with PhDs of more than 5 million euros between 2006 and 2013. Another very important opportunity is the Horizon 2020. Horizon 2020, as we try to call it, we like to call it in the agency, to simplify and to get a clear image, is the Champions League of research and innovation. It's where the Messis and the Ronaldos play, and is where we must also play. Portuguese companies must enter this game. Portuguese universities must enter this game. Portuguese universities, to be fair, have a huge leap in advance in terms of Portuguese companies. They are participating much more than companies. Portuguese companies are participating more, and in this year, for the first time, Portugal reached the break-even, let's call it like that, in the Horizon 2020, which means for the first time since Portugal participates in the European Union, we are able to extract more money out of the research and innovation programs than the quota that Portugal pays into the program as a member state. So the Portuguese participation is becoming larger and is also becoming more sophisticated, because the average grant per project is increasing, and the number of projects led by Portuguese organizations is also increasing. So these are also positive trends and positive signs. The key opportunities for research and innovation projects, especially research and innovation in collaboration, is the research and innovation actions, the innovation actions, coordination and support actions, and the fast track to innovation. These are all programs in the Horizon 2020. At the Portuguese National Innovation Agency, we have a team that specially focuses in connecting Portugal with the European Commission and the Portuguese companies and universities with the Horizon 2020 program. It's a joint venture with the Foundation for Science and Technology. 2/3 of the team are with ANI, focusing on companies. 1/3 is with the Foundation for Science and Technology, focusing on pure fundamental research programs with universities. And this team that we have, it's called GPPK. It's a weird keyword, but it's a group of persons which are the national contact points in the European Commission, and they provide information and support services for applicants in Portugal. And the thing is that Portuguese applications to the Horizon 2020 that come and speak with these guys have 3 to 6 times higher success rates than the rest of the pack applying to the Horizon 2020 in Portugal. And the higher the involvement, the higher the gap in the success rate of proposal approval in the Horizon 2020. So I really urge you, all the companies and research organizations that wish to apply to the Horizon 2020, to contact us, speak to our team, to our experts, because they are quite involved in the calls for proposals, in the drafting of the calls for proposals, in what the Commission really wants, what that word especially put in a phrase in the call for proposal really wants to say. So it's very important. And the opportunity of the opportunities is to be able to bundle and to integrate all these instruments in the life cycle, from fundamental R&D to applied R&D, technology and industrial development, up to market launch of new products and services. I won't bother you with this noisy chart, but you will have the presentation. It's an important picture to have in mind when preparing your innovation portfolio of projects. And last but not the least, foreign direct investment inbound in Portugal. The burgeoning landscape that we saw in the beginning starts to have international impact. We saw the Web Summit case. Now we'll look into the foreign direct investment case. Is the last one. Research and innovation is for the first time the most attractive business function to invest in Portugal by companies that are analyzing the foreign direct investment in Portugal. The intentions in foreign direct investment in research and innovation increased by fourfold between 2013 and 2014. 45% of the executives surveyed highlighted research and innovation as the business function that will attract the largest share of foreign direct investment. This is a huge opportunity for Portuguese SMEs to prepare for this movement, to become better integrated, to create value chain of suppliers to these companies, and to work with them, and this will change the math in terms of PhDs working in companies. When a company like this decides to come to Portugal and hire 100 PhDs, as we have a very small base, the picture will start to change. So I really urge you to have this in mind, and to communicate this to industry, to get ready for these industry and research institutions to get ready for this opportunity to collaborate with international companies that come to Portugal to install their R&D operations. And this was the last slide. Muito obrigado. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Miguel Barbosa. We have time for one question, please. Someone have a question? In Portuguese or in English? In the broadcast, we have a question or not? Not? The people are sleeping. Please.
First of all, congratulations for your presentation. It has been very clear, stimulating, and you highlight the positive aspects of mainly the positive aspect. I would say the intangible assets that Portugal has. Would you mind to tell us also which are, in your opinion, the main intangible liabilities of Portugal?
Thank you for a question, because it allows me to tell you that first of all, I'm paid to highlight our strong points, and to work in solving the weakest ones. Portugal, if you look at the innovation cycle, Portugal is very strong in science, very strong in number of PhDs. The number of publications is increasing. The number of international publications is increasing. There's a criteria that we must work on, is that we must work on the number of co-publications between industry and scientific institutions. We're not doing well there, and it's something very easy to do, because as there's a lot of public funding to this type of collaboration activities. If you put there a criteria that says your project will be better marked if you do it, it would start happening, because in collaboration project there are a lot of publications, but it's only the research side publicating, and as you start going to the market, we start to descend in terms of the gap to others. The number of patents is still reduced. If you look at patent revenues, my God, and so this in terms of intangibles, and especially in terms of knowledge knowledge commercialization, knowledge projection. It's something that we really must work on. We must have more PhDs companies. I believe these will help. Although they don't bring a huge patenting tradition from universities. And I think that if you start, this might seem a contrasensus, a personal opinion. If you reform the research system in a way that you orient it to markets, to market results, the other side of the equation will start benefiting. If you look at the Portuguese base of companies, 99% are SMEs with less than 2 employees, most of them family-owned businesses, not very technology-oriented, family managerial competences, no serious managerial competences. So if you force the research system where you have more equipped persons in terms of knowledge and competences, either in management or in exact sciences, if you force them to go more to industry, to collaborate more, if you evaluate teachers and researchers also with at least one dimension of industry collaboration, of revenues in services rendered to these companies, the things would start to be better. And it's as everything, it's a generation gap problem, because we have a huge base of young PhDs. They will make their ways to the companies, and I believe that in 10 years' time we will be looking into very different numbers. And as the exposure to international markets increases as it increased in the last 5 years, if we keep the rhythm, we must play that game, because the undifferentiated exports, I think we grew them as much as we could, and now if we want to go further, we must go and play even in traditional industries. We must play the intellectual property and the intellectual and knowledge capital game. I hope I understand.
Okay, thank you for your excellent presentation. And we have a little present. This is our sponsor, Vinhos Tejo. This is the marketing, but this is our intellectual capital. The Portuguese wine is very important as intellectual capital.
It's true. The number of research and innovation projects we fund to the wine industry in Portugal is absolutely astonishing. Myself, I come from an ICT background.
Yes.
So when I arrived at the agency and looked at the numbers, the number of projects and the number of technology that is being developed to support worldwide industry, either on the cork side and bottling and in winemaking itself, it's huge, and it's for all of those that are listening to us from abroad, it's worth a visit and taking back some liquid souvenirs.
It is a good investment in intellectual capital. Thank you. So we will continue with Professor Marta Cristina Sucio from Bucharest University of Economics. She will present herself. She will talk about a question: why knowledge management and intellectual capital management are important to business success in the context of a creative economy. Please, Cristina.
Yes, good morning, everybody. Buenos dias. Is it correct in Portuguese?
Bom dia.
Bom dia.
Buenos is for Professor Viedman. Is Spanish.
Okay, so I mix in a way. And now, really, the other part?
She don't have a system of...
No, it's not any problem. I think everybody is hearing me, yes?
Yes.
But I would say to put it on, because then it picks up on the technology.
Okay.
Okay, please.
So it is compulsory.
Yeah.
It's a problem of transmission.
The
Yes.
So time, I was starting by trying to tell you just a little things about me because I'm for the first time in your community. So I'm a full professor and PhD supervisor in economics and economic policy at Academy of Economic Studies, ASE. Like it is well known, it's the most important university of economic studies in our country. And I'm really very happy to be today with you. And the fact that I managed to be today with you is really regarding my previous cooperation with ICA, mediated by my affiliates to both the Community of Good Practice of European Conference on Knowledge Management. It was the first time we met, 2009, in Italy, if I remember, something very nice. It is next European Conference on Intellectual Capital, where we also met and participate many times. You see, we are a community not only of best practice, but really a community of good friends. And I'm also a member on Regional Studies Association and also on the European Association for Regional Studies, absolutely on our national also. And also, since I'm a professor, I'm also a member of European Association for Research on Learning and Instruction. I was just wanting to tell you some of the things, and I'm so grateful also for the fact that some of my both PhD and post-PhD, I'm working in excellent condition, have also registered to participate with the broadcasting. And I'm really thankful also for being here in Microsoft, because the spirit of Microsoft tells itself about both KM, IC, and mostly creative and innovative management to connect also with the previous paper. What I want now to share with you is that I try to put my main objective of the paper regarding the main objective of this conference that had been previously announced by Florinda on the introductory part, and that is also posted on the website of this conference. So starting from this perspective, I was really trying to contribute somehow, just a little piece coming from me, trying to share it with you, and it is really trying to get something like stimulating a debate, both today and mostly I want to get a bridge of contact with you and to continue to keep in touch, because that's lovely. We just identified today people that have common interest, and we can next develop networking, not only social networking like Facebook, we can also develop later something which is most important, something like network of interest. People interested about the same topic like we really are. So why not? We are a community that is able definitely when I say to do that. And when I say that, it's also including people that are looking on us on broadcasting session and those that you'll share with them and we can develop together. So that's my mission for today. I assume it with a great pleasure and, let's say, trying to come with all my heart to support this idea of cooperation, and thank also to ICA and for the way they even put the program, because they were assuring a connection between our presentation. My presentation is coming exactly after the first one, which was developing on Portugal case idea of connection between knowledge management and mostly the idea of cooperative innovation. That's why I started like this, trying to make a bridge with that. And by the way, congratulations Portugal, because really on the last global competitiveness report, the previous speaker was mentioning, Miguel was mentioning, it is really lovely. Portugal is considered to be one of the most dynamic countries in the world in terms of innovation-driven country. And to be on the 35th position on the global competitiveness report and to be ranked in the category of innovation-driven, this is really great. And that's why I was also including, you'll see, not knowing the previous presentation, just a piece of his global, choosing specially because I'm in Portugal and as a sign of respect for your country, I was wanting to share with you just only lovely things, which is really my kind of personality. And also something I want to suggest is that we have to look for a paradigmatic change and to try to get a synergy, not only in the micro level. It's very important to focus on business, absolutely. But the most important thing is to try to develop something like connection between all the levels in the economy. Because like in a forest, the little tree, it's great, but it is still belonging to a forest. And I think this is really a spirit of my communication I want to share with you, because we are no longer alone. We do not have to be. We never have been. And we have to realize how important it's to cooperate and to be together on all this level and create, like my previous colleague have said, for Portuguese, create some partnership not only between universities and business and research institutions. It is also I'm trying to make a connection. I was also wanting to ask questions and always doing a bridge with communications that it's on the prerequisite before mine. So I should want to suggest that it also connected my paper and previous paper. It's about applying not only the triple helix, but mostly quadruple and quadruple, which means you have also to assure that the community where you develop this kind of partnership, it's open. The civil society, the public administration, it's also part of the story. And this is really something we have to develop. Why is this so most important? In the meantime, you saw my suggested agenda, which was really this introductory wording orientation tool. I just pass it. Next, I should want to share with you just pieces why this topic I was choosing to share with you today is so important. What is changing nowadays? What is the most important paradigmatic shift we have to face? And mostly, I should want to share with you the synergy, not each of them itself, but the synergy is the connection between KM, knowledge management, ICM, which means absolutely intellectual capital management. The focus on this forum is exactly on this part, on intangible resources management and mostly intellectual capital. And finally, and that connection with a starting point, we live not only in a knowledge-based society, we live also in a creative and innovative-based economy. And that's a turning point in society. And that means we have to assure synergy also with the creative and innovative management, exactly in the spirit the first presenter was focusing on. Open innovation, broadening innovation sense, which means cooperation, but also shifting from this even to what's next to open innovation. Next, it's neuronal science applied in creative economy, and I will share with you also a piece of that at the end of my paper presentation. Absolutely, I will let time for questions and brief answer, and absolutely, I hope they will manage to continue to keep in touch and to do things together, which is really, that is a sense of this kind of forum and of this kind of meetings. I just told you about a paradigmatic change, a shift, a challenge that we have to face. And it's very important because we just talk about global competitiveness report, global intellectual capital, a global innovation index. Absolutely, it's very important. It's very important to see, talking about the metaphorical range, like in sport competition, to see who is the leader in the league. It's very important to see in terms of nation and to see how countries are ranked about their performance on the global level. Yes, indeed, it's important, but it's not enough. The paradigmatic shift we have really to understand and share, it's that it turns into global, but what's behind of the curtain? That's fantastic. What's behind the curtain? So in order to be globally performant, we have first of all to be on the regional level performant. And that's why I mentioned I'm a member on the Regional Studies Association and ELSA on the European level, because there we are doing many cooperation projects proving how important regional are. And I will just give an example. It's very interesting how also performance in the world is ranked according no longer just to its nation performance, but mostly with a regional. I mentioned just only one benchmarking, which is the World Knowledge Competitiveness Report, which is very much in touch with our topic, and where regions of the world are ranked according to their performance. Because sometimes it's difficult to assure all the nation development on the highest level, but it is definitely possible to have something like this on the regional. That's why the model my colleague before presented is valid definitely for the whole Portugal, but it is also valid for some of the most important regions that are much more open and where we can develop, based on international example, something like creative corridor, creative and innovative corridor, where all these partners, universities, research institutions, small and medium enterprise, entrepreneurship, and also the whole civil society should be parts of the story. And this will make the difference between traditional communities and this kind of creative, innovative communities. And something more important, we also have to understand that inside this region, it's also important to develop something like neighborhood relation, something that makes people to realize how nice it is to be together. Because it's more difficult to see it on the global level, but it's obviously happening on the neighborhood in our daily life. We have to take the benefit of that. And finally, to cut to the subject, the basic subject of this forum from my perception, to get really to the little tree in the forest, to micro level, to the company like Microsoft, for instance. Because there it starts, the driver of competitiveness. There it's a place we have to take it and to understand. And finally, we hope for the best position for countries, regions, and so on. But we do not have to forget looking just on the global, just on the forest, just to look on forest of the world from an airplane, for instance. We do not have to forget about the local communities. And usually we used to call this paradigmatic shift in terms of from globalization to glocalization, and to try to keep also the cultural ingredients that makes you to be Portuguese in a global world, that makes you to be Spanish in a global world, and so on. I can continue. Even we share the very best example of multinational such as Microsoft. And they make us to be performant really, and we have to share experience and to learn from each other, and that's really lovely. And that will be, that was my starting point, and something in addition, which is also obvious in all the new benchmarking system. We have to assure the connection, the synergy between the economic dimension of development, which means efficiency, cost effectiveness, productivity, effectiveness, also in terms of innovation and development, but it is also very important to connect this with a social dimension. And sometimes we forgot about that. Cooperation means social capital too. To develop partnership, we have to focus on the social dimension, definitely. Even to try to assure something like community building, something like trust building, both on the community level and on the team level. Team building also, absolutely, it's very important for a company. And why not? To keep our values, to keep our tradition, to keep our dignity if you prefer. For instance, we talk about creative communities internationally in terms of creative towns, but also in terms of creative and innovative communities. They keep their diplomacy. They are competitive internationally, but they keep their values. I think it's very important, mostly nowadays. And last but not least, the final third dimension is an environment one. So we have to keep a good relation also, not to destroy it just for profit reason, but to keep it also for the coming generation, which is really important. Now, main challenges into this greater framework for us are focusing on mostly intangible, as Professor have suggested before, and we had many times shared this opinion inside our other previous conference when we met. Definitely KM is very important, definitely intellectual capital, let's say intangible resources general, mostly intellectual capital management, it's important. And finally, as I told you, I'm focusing today also mostly because of connection with the previous paper and the previous first two challenges should be developed by the next paper I was looking in the program. So I will try to do that, the connection with the creative and innovative management tools on the umbrella, under the umbrella of knowledge-based and innovation-based society and economy. So definitely, we have to look not for what separates, but for what joins us. Not for piece-by-piece approach, even step-by-step approach, but mostly for integrators, for what makes synergy to function. And for this reason, we have to get all this type, traditional financial capital, that it's still very important for the majority of the companies. But it has to go together, to be complemented definitely with this dimension that suggested absolutely also to keep it green, like I try also to focus today. So to be in a good relation with environment, not to destroy it. We used to tell in macro something like green GDP, because really this is important. But also the social dimension, which is crucially important mostly for developing sorts of open innovation, cooperation, partnership, networking, because we live in such a society. And that is really assuring this integrating perspective. What is really the core competence, the kernel of this issue for integrating perspective, for holistic perspective. It's exactly our topic of today. It's exactly about intangible resources and mostly intellectual capital, which is put by me in a light color because it is supposed to enlarge the vision of integrating all these dimensions. As I told you, I was wanting to share with you the performance of Portugal. I'm no longer doing that because my colleague really developed it. But it is clear from my perspective, I'm just wanting to suggest that everything I said before, it's really connected with the way we used to appreciate, to evaluate performance internationally. Starting from the global level, global competitiveness report, and everything that it's benchmarking, starting, for instance, in European Union, starting from 2007, we started the initiative Beyond GDP. So we are no longer definitely measuring performance in tangible goods and service produced in 1 year during one time period, usually 1 year in one country. No longer. It's beyond GDP. And this beyond GDP means exactly to assure synergy between economic, environment, and social dimension of evolution. And this is also clear in the report I mentioned. Put your country on a very comfortable position, 25 from the global. It's really lovely. And the index I'm talking about, as you can see, and this is a connection in benchmarking tool. So one thing is how you measure intellectual capital, intangible, and performance. One thing is how you manage them. One thing is how you estimate, evaluate, and distinguish your vision and strategy for identifying the key of success factors, the driver factors. And you can see also in this one that was used in order to construct global competitiveness index. It is adding to the traditional vision, adding an adjusted, sustainable, and it's a title of our forum, it's sustainability of competitiveness. And to be sustainable, it has to get a social sustainability also, and also it has to get an environment one. So all these things have been mentioned by me in order to assure consistency between a theoretical framework and the way we recognize it in practice, including benchmarking. On international level, and this is really great, Intellectual capital. There are many. There are a lot of definitions used for intellectual capital. There are a lot of debates because it's not such a thing like black and white when we talk about yes and no. Just only one vision when we talk about intellectual capital. That's life. That's really making our community to be happy because we share distinguishing points of view. That it's not only one definition of intellectual capital. By the way, I'm a teacher, but I used to ask myself when I define things, is it really true? Is it still valid? And that makes my students happy because they can participate to that, sharing, debating. That's lovely. So that's really happening for intellectual capital. Absolutely. It is a group of the knowledge capital. I like this definition because it joins intellectual with knowledge management too, that are really attribution to organization. So I'm no longer using just the terminology of company. It's organization because they are both innovation and knowledge-based organization. And most significantly, they can contribute to an improvement of competitiveness position of that organization by adding value that it's really defined by the case stakeholder, because this is finally the point. They have to be happy too. Absolutely, yes. And value added. The international experience, it's proving that top companies are really getting between 80 and 90% of value added from intangible assets. And that's really important. There are plenty of models regarding intellectual capital. I should just mention a few of them, just for making you to be aware of the importance of that, not trying to be too sophisticated or too pedagogical, because it's not my way of doing things usually, but mostly not today. So absolutely, on this vision regarding the platform, which is again regarding not looking on each of them separately, but joining them in an integrated perspective, it looks for joining the three most important things, which are considered to be traditionally part of intellectual capital. By the way, it's still about us, human capital with our skills. It's focused on people, like you said. We just said people, but behind of the terminology, it's much more complex. It's not only skills, it's soft skills, communication, networking. This can't be developed with traditional competence. It's competence-based, and it's really re-establishing the role of human resources inside the organization. This is the first part. Next, it comes, what can make human resources to be more productive, to be more effective, more efficient? The structural capital, the infrastructure, so the second ingredient here, the infrastructure in intellectual property, which is really very important nowadays, mostly on the framework of creative, innovative, and knowledge-based societies and economy. And not least, absolutely, there is a relational capital. Mostly nowadays, we have to realize how important it is for reputational capital, for the branding, for loyalty, how important it is to develop relation and partnership. And absolutely, when we talk about innovation and creative innovation, we have to focus mostly on the intellectual property, because this becomes crucially important. We cooperate, absolutely. Open innovation means platform of cooperation, at least assuring in principle the possibilities that people needing something can be people able to solve a question, and that's lovely. But we still have to preserve intellectual property, which is not such easy like it sounds. So really, this is very important stuff, and it has to be considered. Usually we are neglecting when we talk about intellectual capital. But this is one of the key pieces inside the story. And it is important. And absolutely, everybody knows what this will regard copyright, patents, trademarks. But mostly important, it is really to share mind by mind, opinions, both rationality, cognitive intelligence, but also the emotional one, but to respect each other and the right to protect our ideas still, which is really very important, mostly nowadays when we develop cooperation, because this is trust building. This will really contribute to that. And now, there are a lot of models, as I share with you, and there are a lot of dimensions to look on intellectual capital, mostly based on an integrative, holistic perspective. Absolutely, we can put it like in time. I put it like this as to make you to be happy with that. We can look on the past. Past is about performing in financial terminology, profit share and everything like this. But this is past. It is still important, absolutely. We have to look on our past, also on the company level. It's very important. Nobody is neglecting that. But we have to add something else. We have to look on the present. Absolutely, you have to be human focused, as the leader from the Microsoft have just told us at the very beginning. Absolutely, we have to do that. But still we have today to look, developing relational capital, for instance, to be customer focused also, not to forget to whom we are talking, and also process focused, to see how we are getting to reach our targets. And finally, we have to look for tomorrow. We have to develop a strategy. We have clearly to define our vision according to our mission as organization. And because of that, it is a very important dimension we have to put, and usually it's neglected in traditional approach regarding the piece by piece, 3 pieces important for intellectual capital. Sometimes they neglected exactly that part, the future, the renewal, and mostly the development phase, which is really important. And the final dimension, which looks for making it to function, to be operational, to bring value added, to make stakeholder to be happy. Stakeholder in a very large sense, not just in a particular small sense. So absolutely, and for instance, that is very famous, the monitor of intangible assets and intellectual capital, Chelemi, that's really putting also another trying vision of synergic connection between internal dimension of intellectual capital and intangible assets, the external one, and don't forget, finally, human, but how human in terms of core competence. So really, there is a general background where we started from individual capabilities, competence. We put them in connection with the external structure, looking for relational capital and partnership. And absolutely, there is also a strong connection with our structural capital, internal structure, that is really, and all of the really important, and all of them are connected. Since I am on Microsoft, I decided just to share just a piece, something from HP, which is about a very famous model, also intellectual capital. I will no longer bore you so much. I just wanted to share with you, it's a very interesting model, not applicable in any organization, but for instance, this is really, they are very proud, they said, balance score card on HP, and they are starting always for something like financial excellence. They told everything in terms of excellence. Operation, in order to assure next, operational excellence, customer, and absolutely, finally, we have also to look for the employee. And each of these dimensions is next developed. And just one more thing. As I told you before, in order really to get a high-level intellectual and intangible resources management, we have first of all to identify correctly, according to the specific of our organizations, no matter it is a corporation, it is a multinational corporation with a specific business model, or it is a region or a community, we have to identify first of all what's really specific, because there is not such a thing like a general pattern. Next, we have really to map the key drivers of success, because this is not the same thing. To identify intellectual capital reports, it's not exactly, so to measure this performance, it's not exactly the same way by identifying key drivers of success. Next, it is also very important to measure, absolutely, and to convince mostly the most skeptical people that consider that something exists just if it is measured. I do not agree with this vision, but just in case, it is important, and it is a strong international practice, both from accounting point of view, from managerial point of view. I'm not entering into details because I'm talking with experts on these topics, so really, I'm not entering, but just in principle, that we have really to manage, because it's not enough just to measure. It's not enough even to report it. It's very important to try to manage in an excellent way, like I just managed to mention your HP. And finally, absolutely, we monitor and we report intellectual capital again, and we try to improve it step by step. Companies are like trees. And now let's make another paradigmatic shift between traditional economics. What was for companies very important in traditional terminology? Just the fruits in the tree, just profit sharing, total revenue minus total cost, just tangible. There is no longer such a thing. Exactly, this forum is a nice opportunity to share with you that holistic vision asks us to look for the whole tree. To start from the roots, from something we can't smell, we can't touch, it's intangible. But it is considered to be the most important. Authors like Edwinson, for instance, suggest to reverse the tree and to start looking from the roots, which is to start to look from intangible assets like knowledge. So, my topic was about knowledge management. Intangible assets, such as creative and innovative potential, and intangible assets, absolutely, such as intellectual capital, at least with ingredients I just managed to say before. And this is a turning point in performance evaluation, because instead of talking just about profit maximizing, even when we lose, which is really not touching so much rationality, at least minimizing losing should be another alternative objective, but there is no longer needed just to make such sophisticated thing, because it's much more important to get a long-run competitive advantage, which is something else than just to win today, to get maximizing profits, and to lose everything tomorrow, which happens to happen in reality with many companies. So really the tree suggests a change in mentality about doing business today. And absolutely, I will not borrow you so much. If we focus on what I said before, human relational and structural, absolutely we can identify also tools of both measuring and managing intellectual capital. We can look on organization putting together both tangible, intangible, and absolutely still financial capital. Why not? It's still very important. And we can also develop, and we have a lot of things into our mind if we divide so much. My point of view is to try to organize them such as to give the holistic perspective like in the tree. So to look much more for integrating than just identifying piece by piece and more pieces, because this is not really a key of success. And this is why do we need to do mostly this broad sense of intellectual intangible assets and CAIM in connection with this new modern vision that respects a new type of economy we are living with. According, for instance, to John Hawkins in a famous bestseller 2001 published by Penguin Press, which was really very clearly, I will use this term in order to define you, like it is considered to be the most interesting definition of creative economy. It's the title of this book, Creative Economy, How Can People Make Money from Ideas, which is something else than tangible. Now ideas are much more important. This is a time of managing ideas, and this is really lovely. And what is also important is that this asks for other benchmarking. And for instance, there is a global innovation benchmarking, or even the European Creativity Index, developing this method by the team of Richard Florida, based on the 3T. The 3T being, each of us have been born, if we look in the Bible, having a special talent. It is very important not to lose it, really to make it to function and to make us happy. How to make that happy? By using and getting access to the highest level of technology, so secondly, and being tolerant. one to another, knowing how to listen to other opinion, really understanding that variety of points of view can build, and it's important to look for diversity, not to impose one point of view, so to be tolerant to this idea. This is the first part of Florida model. So the free T, again, talent, technology, and tolerance. But he added now a fourth one, which is territory, because as I told you, paradigmatic change in competitiveness means also to take the regional and the communities into consideration. And something that is most important according to the topic of this forum, it's an entrepreneurial business climate, because we try to build this on a new business model, which is an innovative business model, which is very important. And absolutely, since we enlarge the vision in benchmarking, we have to enlarge the vision also according to that. Looking on the social and environmental dimension of development, which means to look for the quality of our life, the quality of our place, the territory. But its quality, not the territory itself. It is said that it's not important to discover other territory. It's very important the way you look to the one you stay. And it's very important how much you can explore. I just quoted community success factors according to the Memphis Talent Management Project, coordinated by Teacher Florida. It is also a very interesting blog, if you are interested. I really enjoy. It's a beautiful mind, by the way. And, by the way, why are you doing all this stuff? Because in competitiveness, we face another challenging term. Because we are shifting from exogenous determining competitive advantage, which is factor-driven. Global Competitiveness Report put it like a first stage, like in agrarian society. Natural resources were very important, but they are coming outside. Exogenous determining competitive advantage. We have to shift definitely from that one, from exogenous to endogenous. Like it was step by step in the industrial area, based on technology mostly, which correspond to the second stage of competitiveness according to Michael Porter and to all the school, like Michael Best, Porter, Diamond, Dynamics, and so on. I'm really no longer continuing with this, but mostly it is important to understand that exactly now we are on a turning point, starting at least from 2000, when we have to look for the power of brain power, where we have to look for things like information, knowledge, networking, mostly creativity, innovation. And by the way, we have to be enough open-minded to identify what should be the emergent society, because absolutely human evolution will not stop here. But since we are here, and this is really important, I just put from the Global Competitiveness Report, the stages, the 3 stages, factor-driven. For instance, my country is just in investment-driven. The second stage, Portugal, is just starting innovation-driven, both basing on sophisticated of the business, which does not mean sophistication in traditional sense, and mostly on innovation. This is just a map, just to have an idea about the Global Creativity Index. Also, I put it initially the European one. I will not focus too much. It is clearly happening that Nordic European countries, such as Sweden, come on the first position, followed by United States, Finland, also Denmark. I'm not insisting Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Norway, Singapore, Netherlands. I just mentioned the first top 10. And there is a new type of economy, definitely, where you have to understand that great ideas happen whenever you have thinking people in your organization. And it is very important to be high-performing. New ideas must be the lifeblood of the organization, so that it's no longer the belief that money, it's the blood of the organization. Ideas seem to be the real, new, really lifeblood of contemporary knowledge, innovative and creative organization. And what about creative economy? What are the most important pillars for that? And this is connected with shifting point in competitiveness. First of all, there are creative people like us. Any of you, congratulations, you are belonging to what Richard Florida in 2002 considered to be the most brilliant, the most important part of human civilization. Creative class people. Next, these have to manifest somewhere. Where? Either in a local community, like creative communities, creative town. We have creative town and creative communities in my country. I'm just looking to identify those in Portugal. I'm sure they are plenty. And I'm sure you belong to them. That's lovely. And finally, blah, blah, but it's not enough. It looks like blah, blah, it's not blah, blah. Finally, you have to get an endpoint. Where? In business. In business cluster. In getting really happiness in terms also of efficiency and effectiveness. And this means that finally, as I show you initially, we have to shift from global to local. We have to shift from just a regional community to the organization that is bringing us really happiness, because if they are performant, we also should be better off from all the points of view, including success key and driving forces for this kind of new innovation-driven model, innovation-driven stage of development, innovation-driven model for companies. What are these? Absolutely, we start with people. With people having full of ideas, being creative, manifesting, according to a culture of innovation, supporting innovation. And if we do that, we have to support also the process that are in favor of supporting application innovation. But we can't do this alone, like my previous presenter, my colleague, Michael, have presented. We need to do that in partnership, because you have to be smart enough to understand that nobody is smart enough as everybody. So you have to stay together. We develop not only partnership, but also networking or collaboration. And this means that, as I told you in the beginning, we have to face absolutely, and most young generation are so happy on Facebook. They told, if you do not have a Facebook, if you are not on Facebook, you are no longer here on this planet. It's crazy, but it looks like being here. Absolutely, it's lovely, but you can learn from them. Why not? They develop social networking. Why not to develop interest networking? And this is done internationally. So, for instance, people interested about intellectual capital, people interested about innovation. Let's continue to share, not only on global forum, not only on meetings like conferences. These are lovely. But why not to continue to develop something like that, which could be similar, you can continue to share. That's lovely. Because really you can do that. And by the way, very nice organization. I took all my examples from companies, also from ITC, this time Google, because they have a lovely model. I'm just mentioning it because it's exactly about these communities of interest networking. For instance, it's a project called 80-20. Why? Because they consider like this. 80% of the time, their people can really do their core competence, which is regarding their task on their job. But 20%ers, they are supported really by the organization to do something else, to interact with other people for things that are really for interest for them, which is not on the particular interest of Google. And you know what? The most important last invention of Google, things that we really enjoy and share now, have been developed not in 80% of time, but at least in one day in a week, which means 20%. And that's really lovely, because when people believe in what they do, when they find some other people to interact with, that is really a great idea that is happening to develop. Because this is also a lovely idea. Networking means to realize the power and even the wisdom of crowds. Because you can have the best idea, you can be a Nobel Prize, very good, but it's not enough for nowadays. A brilliant idea that flooded one mind. If you want your organization, your community, your neighborhood, you yourself to be more happy, you have to share. And if you share, you understand that you have also to be open-minded and to value diversity, to value each of your community point of view, to support them to have other point of views than yours, because they help you to develop. And mostly, the new key of success factor for new competitiveness inside this framework, for sure, they are starting still or liquidity for the traditional blood of the organization, which is financial capital, physical capital. But next, they have to stay connected. They have to interact. So social capital is very important for cluster information and development, mostly for creative and innovative cluster. And absolutely, people creativity in a creative and innovative economy and society. This is very important, and this is our topic. And I try to assure connection between them. And this is intellectual capital. And finally, if we really done that, it is like Florida and his community said, it's a way on the road to co-creating and assuring co-prosperity for both your organization and the community where you are living. And this type of new innovation-driven organization have to be commitment to continuity, which means absolutely, they have to get for the best technology and so on, one of the key. But they have to be commitment to innovate, so to assure not only continuity, but also new products development, which is really important for development. Portugal seems to understand very well this lesson. If it is really getting one of the most dynamic, competitive, innovative driven economy. And finally, commitment to share. And this means partnership. And I will longer, this was something just illustrating that intellectual capital alone is not enough, definitely. We have also to think for psychological and also for the sociological one. And finally, that's the last point, we have even to go from the open innovation and cooperation to looking again to ourselves like human beings. God makes us to have two neuronal hemispheres, rational, emotional, spiritual, but also we are not alone, just neuron. So it's our brain. I told you about brain power. Our brain is not just neuron. Again, Nobel Prize is just a neuron. We have to realize that the most important part is connection, synapse in our brain. So based on that, the new point at least available for me, and I really enjoy that, wanting to share at the very end with you, please, because this is the last approach I managed to find. The neuronal innovation, which is next to open innovation, and it's based exactly on connectome, innovation connectome, that makes us to function realizing that importance of being connected, because we want it or not, we are connected. Like in our brain, the neurons are connected, and they could not function without connection. We have to understand that this is really similar for us. And if we understood that, I have some suggestions at the end. I want us, since we met and we identify we have common interests, as a way we should not be here. Thank you, first of all, for being here. But I want to thank you for hoping to cooperate in the future with you, at least. To change people's mentality, it means to change the way people think. And it means to cooperate, first of all, in education. To share and to make our students to think from a new perspective. Not only the PhD. I have spectacular students that are really very creative. I'm so happy with them. Really, believe me. So anyhow, I suggest to start cooperating also for education perspective in terms of lifelong learning. So not only in university. Second, let's try to cooperate really more and to have some final results of participating on not only to Horizon 2020 in Europe, to other international and European projects. Let's try to get money for our ideas, for supporting our ideas. Let's learn to cooperate. Let's really do research, common research projects together, and even publish together. For me, we were doing that, Florinda, by the way. We were, I think in 2010 or 2011, we have published a common paper. It was Portuguese compared with my country, and it was lovely. And this kind of study really you can apply the same methodology and you can identify what distinguishing you and what is common, what distinguish, what is the organizational culture, and anyhow for publisher. I'm also editor, and I know it's very interesting to have diversity. I told about diversity. Also in publishing journal, why not? We could do that. So as a result of common research, it should not just stop asking for money and getting the money with win-win solution for such kind of project, but also disseminating and publishing together and making the community to know about us and to want to be together with us and to share. And that means that finally we'll be able to develop something like community, not only of good practice, but of partnership and networking and platform of cooperation. We do not have to meet each other face to face. It's lovely for the very beginning. It's the very important trust building. It's face-to-face building. But next, if we trust each other, we can definitely cooperate on Skype. There are plenty. Sigma 9, for instance, I'm just mentioning again, I'm also graduating cybernetics. That's why my examples are coming from ITC, because it's also my favorite subject. I started my career with that. Anyhow, thank you very much. It was lovely. My final message is exactly to keep in touch. I'm open to questions, both now, but also in the virtual space. That's why I started with my institutional, from a formal perspective on the first slide. It was institutionally made, but I ended in an informal way, wanting to continue to cooperate and to keep in touch with you also on one of my private one. Don't misunderstood. It's just opening a door of cooperation, both from formal and informal point of view. Thank you very much. I really hope to keep in touch, and I really hope we will get together, what? A win-win solution. Really to be happy and to enjoy being together, because we can also not just talk about, we can also act somehow and change something and make us to be happy. And to be happy because we have friends and we have to whom to share our belief. Sometimes it's difficult to find in your country. I recognize that. Sometimes it's difficult because there are new things. You are very happy. I'm usually paying my own money for getting to conference. And I thank to my family for supporting. Why? I'm happy there because I find people where I share my belief, and really this counts for me. Because I'm thinking, oh, I'm not eating bananas. Somebody is also interested. And this really constructs you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate to receive questions.
Yes. Time for one or two questions, not more, because after we will have a time
Yes,
for
but in
coffee.
email, you can
Okay.
send more, absolutely.
And you can contact Christine at lunch and so on.
Yes, absolutely informal talking.
Okay. Bye.
We have one question from the broadcast.
Yes. Yes, it's here. Yes.
Jorge Evangelista says, sorry, my business management background. Could you propose your vision for the connection of knowledge management and intellectual capital with the organizational performance or with the country performance? For an example, can we follow the OECD Human Capital Project, comparing the stock human capital with the GDP and physical capital for the companies and for the financial markets? How we can get attention from all the economy, wood industry, fish industry, agriculture industry, and so on?
Okay, that's a lovely question. Thank you so much, because it is really coming with an application vision for business, and I'm not sorry at all. I'm happy that I received this question. I'm really happy. I reflect even more, but I will get some insight now, because connection between knowledge management and intellectual capital, I think it is quite obvious from theoretical perspective, and I hope I was managing to do it, but for application it's not so easy. And he mentioned OECD report. I love also this report. It's talking about efficiency of investment in human capital, which is something else than just identifying human capital. And it's about intellectual capital, where it is really also both measuring and identifying key of success, like not just talking about intellectual capital, but investment in human capital. It's just one ingredient, and try to make a connection between OECD report of investing in human capital with which is one of my favorite topics. My PhD was of investing in human capital, investing in education. So really I should want to talk more, but it's not time now. Not now, but I will definitely want to have the email contact of that person and talk more about that. And something in addition, really one of the strongest messages for my paper, and that's why I'm so happy because it comes mostly for business sector, was that we do not have to focus just on the global. On the contrary, we have to apply it in any industry, not just in creative industry. For instance, connected with my last topic, it is to be applicable. Intellectual capital management, knowledge management can be applied in agriculture very well. Also, we need innovations there. Why not? So it is the initial stage of development, okay, but we also need to get these tools to explore them and to be performant. So in any of the other sectors, but I said we have to adopt it according to the specific, both if it is a sector of activity, both if it is a company level, we have really to adopt. The model I presented was just like a vision of what people previously have inspired, they bring both important. But now, if we really want to implement this in the concrete business, we have to identify our key of success for our business. And this is really making sense. And I should want to add one more thing to that as a proof that things really are running in this direction. According to last launch on 10th of November, so quite soon, UNESCO report, because it's connected also with human capital and intellectual capital. There are two very important trends regarding scientific evolution until at least 2020. One of them being, we have an important shift from theoretical to application, from basic research to application, so to implement, to innovation, if you want to put it also in the term like this. And another one which is also very important in Portugal, for instance, looking up that Portugal's performance, is that the gap between South and North in Europe and internationally is really getting close. There's plenty of opportunity in this kind of economy, and also UNCTAD previously report on creative economy. If you want, please look on it because it's fantastic. It promises chance and opportunities of development, not only for the most developed nowadays countries, but all over the world. And we can look on China. For instance, China in 2007 was getting just 5% for the world publication in scientific finance. And now it's on the first position with 15%. Very huge. In last 2014, it's from the same UNESCO report on science trends. I recommend you to look. If you want, I can send to everybody the link because I received it. But I just received the link I can send, and also the report itself, if you can't afford to do it. It was trying shortly to answer, but really I want to get in contact with that person, not only to thank, but also maybe it was not quite clear enough, it could not be, but I want to keep in touch. Yes, and with all of you. You wanted also to ask something? I saw something. Yes, please.
I just wanted to say
very quickly, please.
Yes, but she wanted to
in
ask.
this area of intellectual capital, there's maybe two levels of financial investment and return of that investment, and the other goals that we want to succeed in. So, as you said, at the end of the day, everybody wants to pay their bills. And everybody who has a company wants to pay their bills. But at the long term, the investment in intellectual capital will improve the chances of having more money to pay the bills. But we have to give it time to happen. Sometimes when we talk about financial ideas, they make quick effect. Almost all of the time, it's injecting money. This is a different kind of injection in the company, in the organization. And thank you for all the things I've been doing for the past few years. We gave it a name here today, and that's why I'm here. I made 150 kilometers to be here. That's what I'm very interested in this subject. I know that you did more. Thank you very much.
And by the way, just shortly, this really, and this is regarding also investment in human capital, investment in any intangible, like intellectual capital, As for the company itself, mostly when it is hard time like crisis time, it is necessary to assure, first of all, short-term profit to survive. But in order to survive and develop in the future, we have to get one part for the future. Being engaged for the future, being also innovative, because that should assure not only profit maximizing short term, being competitive, getting really the so-called long-term competitive advantage. It's exactly in the spirit of Porter I mentioned just with the macro vision of Porter with stages of development, but it's mostly applicable to the diamond of 5 poles of competitiveness Porter developed. It's really respecting this, and it's putting together, they go together, they complete each other, short run and long run. Because that's why I put it past, present, and future. Because that's the way we have to think on most of all of them. Just to say it was past, just because financial legislation is past. When we calculate profit, it's what happens until yesterday. But we have to think for the future, because the other way we are catching the future in the past, and it's not okay. Because other people are innovative, mostly the agile, the business angels, the small and medium enterprise usually. They are really very good on competitiveness because they have more opportunity. And sometimes we can lose just looking for profit, just looking for short term. We can lose a vision. We can really lose even profit in short run. And that was one of mine. And thank you so much for the question, because it helps me, really, and helps me to share with people that thing. Thank you very much. I appreciate you managed to do this matter, because you make a difference. No, I'm just joking, so I hope the other audience keep smiling people, because that was very meaning.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You. If not,
thank you
thank
for
you.
We will continue with our intellectual capital.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Brand of Portugal. Why not? I will so happy share with my colleagues.
Yes, every day with the Portuguese intellectual capital.
Yes, my colleagues in my university should be very happy. I'll invite also those being on the podcast, at least from my country.
Okay, it's time for coffee. We will start, I propose 20 to 12, something like this, ok? O café vai ser servido no showroom da entrada, procurem, portanto, logo na parte da entrada. Não vale a pena falar em inglês.